Hey everybody, my name is Amy Fox and I am a fellow graduate from the She Rises program with Kelsey, and I've been asked to walk you guys through Upwork and how we hired our setter. My husband David and I went through the program and we were finally ready for a setter, and so Upwork was the most user-friendly platform that I found for finding a setter. So I thought I would just show you some best practices from what I just did by learning and trying things. But one thing to keep in mind with Upwork is there's a website that is for freelancers, for people who want to be hired for work. And then there's an Upwork site for us who are looking to hire people. So there's different contracts and information that is given to somebody who's a freelancer versus what information is given to us. What I like about Upwork is there's a lot of protection. There are ways that they track people to make sure that they are doing their job. Like they will actually take screenshots of their computer while they're clocked in to prove that things are being done. Payment is done through there, and the majority of the hiring process is done through there for a track record. So I highly recommend it. It's been a really positive experience so far. So let me just kind of show you what I navigated. It's the basic of the basics. So if there's anything deeper, or if you have any additional questions or having trouble, just let me know. So let me show you what it looks like. So this is the site that is basically the main dashboard. And all I did was go in there and create my profile. So it'll prompt you for your profile. And the biggest thing is just putting in, it'll ask you for your business information. It'll ask you, obviously you get your password and everything set up. And then one of the main things that you're going to need in order to hire somebody is to have your billing and payments established. So you are able to utilize a bank account, I believe, and then it also accepts PayPal, which I like that option is in there too for a little extra security. So I'm still going to see how that works. If I want to connect my bank instead of PayPal, you have the option to do either one. There's obviously other things in here for maybe a more advanced level than what we're doing as far as if you're doing them on a mass hire, because there's actually people in here who charge a lot per hour. There's a lot of freelancers in here that are all over the world that have certain specialties. And this also works well too if you had a project, like for example, like maybe you were looking to hire somebody for your landing page or something specific or a project, you could come in here and use Upwork for that as well. Then there's like tax information and the terms and conditions. I certainly would look at all of that. But all I did was go to this job section up here and go to post a job. And that was the starting point. And I'll walk through some of this for you just so you have a visual. But for what we're looking for, it's recommended to do the short-term or part-time work. And you just hit continue. And then you do a job title. So I just did, virtual assistant. I can spell, obviously on the spot here. And then I hit next. And then you start to put in some skills that kind of add in some additional stuff that you want people to have some, good communication, scheduling, personal administration, whatever kind of selected skills you think would be relevant. It's obviously looking for keywords because every freelancer who's put a job posting in there is also searching for this kind of stuff. Then you hit next, and then you just kind of determine the scope of your work. Is it long-term complex initiatives? Is it well-defined projects? Is it quick, straightforward tasks? Honestly, medium, small might be what we're looking for as setters. And then it will ask you how long is the work going to take, and 3 to 6 months, 1 to 3 months, less than a month. So I'm pretty sure I did 3 to 6 months. Obviously, there's an option to continue to rehire these people if you want to keep doing it through Upwork and just kind of work in those increments. But again, you can kind of decide what's going to be best for you. Then you can obviously decide if it's entry level, intermediate, or expert, because again, there's definitely different levels. Like I saw people charging hundreds of dollars per hour, depending on what the project was. So I selected intermediate just because I did want some level of experience in there. And then I don't think it's co-hire. I'll just kind of go through next section here and just cancel out of it. I selected worldwide and I added the regions that made sense to me. So I did Africa and Americas and Asia. I think that's the one I kind of kept. I might have done like Philippines and Nigeria. I'm trying to think of the most common areas that I had heard. Like I think the Philippines and maybe even Thailand or something too. So there's other ones that were obviously you can select and get more specific. And then you hit next and you do an hourly rate. Like, what are you kind of looking for? I did 5, obviously I'm going to be charging less than 30, but that's kind of where I put the range. And then you describe what you need. And honestly, like we probably could have done a better job describing what we needed, like a more professional looking. I might go in and edit that, but this is where you have the opportunity to describe exactly what you're looking for. I recommend that you say like, hey, this is exactly what I need. If we're looking, obviously the first step of the process is getting a virtual assistant to help you find leads. So I would really make your description around that. And I'll just show you what I posted, because it's not even fancy schmancy. So I'm back to the dashboard here. I can click into my social media VA and appointment setter description and view the job post, because I've obviously hired somebody. And I literally did this simple paragraph. We're looking for a virtual assistant / appointment center to help us find leads for couples wanting to lose weight. This would involve going into our social media accounts, Facebook and Instagram, sending messages to leads they find within our niche. And then just kind of gave a little bit about us. We are certified nutrition and personal training coaches who coach virtually and in person. The messages will be scripted and simple to duplicate. We love open lines of communication and have a passion to help people lose fat for good. I mean, I could have gotten way more specific on the task if I can go back, but literally what you can see, what I selected, what I filled out going through the process, the expertise, the activity on this job, et cetera. Oh, see, I did Americas, Africa, Philippines, and Australia for locations. And you can go out and search people. You could invite freelancers. You could start searching all of Upwork and start finding your own. But what's really cool is Upwork will actually do that for you. And they will give you, I basically had like over 17 proposals of different people that seemed to be a good match. So when I had a good match, I just thumbs upped it, especially if I liked it or was interested in them, or I shortlisted them to kind of save them for later. And I've just left these here. And I did have a couple that were like coming in here that were like 20. So here's, a $20 an hour gal, for example, but really great options of a starting point. And even this gal here, she's $4.50 an hour. Like, that's fantastic. Like, why not go search for her? So when you create your account, you're going to get this list. So all I did was click into their information, look at their proposal details and cover letter, see if they have any feedback throughout Upwork, because she's obviously worked a lot of jobs already through Upwork. And you can see her history. You can see if there's any like really bad reviews to maybe be a red flag, or take some of them with a grain of salt. She actually had a lot of great reviews. There was just one that was a little questionable. And that's something you'd have to establish. Again, Kelsey's going to talk about hiring and firing quickly if it's not working out, right? So for Cecilia, she was the gal we ended up hiring. She actually did not have a bunch of reviews or anything, because she was very new to Upwork and most of her portfolio is outside of Upwork, but she ended up, so far, has been a wonderful fit. And all I did was message them and start a conversation with them. And what's great about Upwork is that it has all of the ability to do everything within the inbox so that you don't have to leave Upwork. So everything is tracked. So you can see here, there's a rehire Cecilia. So for when our time frame is done, I can keep using Upwork as the way to hire her, or I can take her outside of Upwork if I want. Scheduling a meeting, this basically synced with my calendar. It syncs with Zoom. So we scheduled a meeting within the inbox, and then basically we joined the meeting in the inbox. And that's how I did the interviews. I had 3 interviews with Mary Ann, Mary Day, and Cecilia. Just kind of went through and asked them, like, what got them into this job? What do they like about it? What are their goals? How would they go search for leads? How would they communicate with us? What kind of responsibilities are they looking to expand upon? What keeps them motivated? Like, they literally are like, family keeps me motivated. So that's a really good reason. And then Cecilia, the reason that she stood out to me was just because she was persistent. Like, she found me on Instagram. She commented on my posts. She started to brainstorm and think of ideas ahead of time. She reached out a couple of times, and it wasn't like obsessively, but she pursued the partnership, and it still felt like a really great fit. And yes, it was a leap of faith to jump and hire somebody for the very first time, but so far it's been a very positive experience. So everything she showed me before I hired her has been consistent after I hired her. And so that's been wonderful. Basically, I think that's about it. I mean, you could certainly do a group interview. They were ready to be interviewed right away. The only reason I had any delay in interviewing them is because we actually had some plans over the weekend that kind of interrupted our schedule, but they were more than willing to chat. I felt it was great to see them face to face. And now Cecilia and I have a weekly meeting set up. We now communicate through Slack and we use Google Sheets currently. We might move to Asana at some point. But the experience has been very, very positive. And then I referred out these other gals to people in this group because I was like, hey, it's so hard to reject, or not reject, but to say like, no, you're not a good fit. And so honestly, for my quote unquote rejection message, I just said, hey, Marianne, I wanted to let you know I really enjoyed meeting with you. I want to keep connected because I would like to consider a partnership down the road if that's okay with you. In the meantime, I'd love to refer you to another coach. Do you know the best way to do that in Upwork? She's my friend Abby, because I even mentioned Abby. And I think you guys would get along really, really well. And that's what's wonderful is that Abby ended up hiring her, which is fantastic. So I just kind of made the message like, I really appreciate meeting you. I'd like to keep this message in my file just in case there are more opportunities down the road. And that was a simple way to kind of quote unquote reject somebody. So I think the other thing that I would show you here is obviously there's post a job, there's my jobs, and you can, cancel out your position. I've made it private now, so it's not even searchable anymore, but I've just left it there because I didn't want to delete or lose any of the referrals that I had. Then you can, again, discover people. And then there's reports. So what's great is now that I've got some hours in here from Cecilia, I can see how many hours she's worked, how much I need to pay her so far. We're starting with 15 hours a week right now. And then I let her know that as we grow, I'd like to expand those hours and expand those responsibilities. So I'm really trying to make her stay focused on the mission of getting leads, getting people to our 7-day experience, and really just hunting, like going and finding them. And once they get a conversation started, like, let me take over, like I'm the cowgirl and she's the rope, and we're going to rope these people in. And so I think what's great about Upwork too is it's tracking everything. It's keeping it in the system for you. It's easy to export this to a CSV file. Obviously, Kelsey's going to talk about invoices and keeping track of all of this for tax purposes. So I feel like Upwork has a level of protection. And I don't recall if I said this yet, but there's a little bit of a merchant fee that you're going to pay on top of what you do hourly. It's pretty small. I think it's like 5% or something. And then Cecilia also has a portion of that she's paying towards Upwork. So that's one of the ways that Upwork is obviously going to support their site, is they're going to take a little bit of a transaction fee for those exchanges. So that's one reason why you might consider moving off the platform at some point if they continue to be a really great fit, and pay them a different way if that's what you want to do. But ultimately, I kind of like this extra cushion. I also had I did have her sign an additional contract outside of whatever is built in Upwork. There is some level of protection in Upwork, but I took Kelsey's setter example. I edited it. I made some changes based off of what our terms are. I'm giving her a 5% commission on leads right now because all she's doing is hunting and getting the leads. And then we'll expand more on that as we continue to grow if this relationship works. I made sure she knows there's a 90-day trial period basically. And she signed that. I loaded that through DocuSign and she signed it no problem. And it's been a wonderful experience. So that's really a simple overview of everything. If you have any questions or any needs, just let me know. I'm happy to help. I'm big fan, and so far it's been a great experience. So good luck with your search. And if y'all are needing some referrals or some suggestions, I'm here to help. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the Slack channel.